The choice is yours. Be cool or not.
We're gonna be cool.
Toxic Radio. Get the podcasts and get infected. Planning your Saturday night can be a bit of a bitch.
Saturday night is the loneliest night in the week.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Load up Toxic Radio every Saturday night for the heavy metal happy hour with the one and only Fishman.
I know that, dude.
There will be interviews, ticket giveaways, a little bit of banter with Toxic Mike, and of course great metal from the 80s all the way through today. Starts at 7 p.m., runs until Fish says it's over.
Everyone get out!
Catch it only on Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic. Does the real world seem unsatisfying?
It's boring, but it's part of my life.
Well, it's time to level up and reboot reality. Join Toxic Mike and Demonoid as they explore the ever-evolving world of virtual reality and everything it has to offer. Whether you're just starting out or you've been there from the beginning, Reboot Reality will introduce, educate, and guide you to the best in VR. Find it wherever you get podcasts at toxicradio.net or on the free Toxic Radio app. Reboot Reality. Log in and get immersed.
For Hope Nation, we are live from Toxic Radio Studio. I am your host, Donnie Hart, and I am joined by the oh-so-beautiful Angela.
Straight out of chemo. Hello, everyone.
Straight out of chemo, yes, correct?
Yes, yesterday was chemo.
And what is this, round 4? Five.
So we are in what we are calling maintenance chemo. Still chemo, still toxic, still poisonous, but it's still chemo, just called a different name because now we've had our scans. And, we just pray that this maintenance chemo is going to be enough.
Well, you're here. That's all that matters.
Amen.
And we also have Janine Kirby, I think. Janine?
Hey there. Hey, Ange. Hi, Donnie.
Hey, Janine.
Hey, Janine. How you doing?
I like straight out of chemo.
Yeah, right? That's going to be my next T-shirt.
Got Janine straight out of the Mind Your Brain Foundation conference. We got Angela straight out of the chemo.
Yes.
And we just got me. I'm just me. I'm out of my mind. That's straight out of my mind.
I'll slap
You're
to
the glue that holds us together, Donnie.
How you doing, Janine?
I'm doing okay. Took me a couple days to recover, and I get more hangovers now than I did back when I was drinking. I'll tell you.
Just from, you had the Mind Your Brain Foundation. If anybody don't know, you're part of the Mind Your Brain Foundation. Their president, Candace, who's been on the show, is amazing. You guys had your annual conference. I was actually part of at Penn Medicine. It was Saturday. It's for traumatic brain injury survivors. They had people from all over the country, some of these amazing doctors there. They had lectures, new technology you guys are using. It was pretty cool. Tell us a little about that. I know you said you're recovering from it.
Yeah, I was glad that you got to come and experience it for yourself too, Donnie. Because I know I talk about it a lot, but it really is. It's a game changer for the brain injured world. This year, I was really glad to see people I haven't seen in a long time. We haven't had it live in 2 years, and there's just something about live energy of the brain injury community. So I was also really, really glad to see so many newcomers to the brain injury world. I'm so glad that they knew about this terrific resource and that they were able to make it down. The weather was a little iffy that day on Saturday, and a lot of us brain injured people who have had surgeries are very affected by the weather, all the hardware in our head.
Yeah.
Go figure. We're human barometers, but it was still a really great turnout, and just being around each other was really great. And I'm glad that you got to get down there too.
Tell people a little bit, they might not know. So Mind Your Brain, it deals with a lot of people with traumatic brain injuries, a lot of even athletes who had a lot of head injuries. What's the point of the conference, just so people understand a little better?
Sure. Well, our mission is to enhance the quality of life for those affected by brain injury. Oftentimes, from the experience of Candace, who is the founder of the conference, she kind of hopeless and helpless after being released from the hospital with, okay, now what? What do I do other than, going through the motions of therapy, going through all the, I call them rubber stamp appointments. Okay, you had speech therapy Monday, you had physical therapy Tuesday, you have cognitive therapy. It's a lot more to it than that for us. It's not, your brain is in charge of your entire personality, let alone your entire body. So it's really was founded to educate, support, advocate for the brain injury survivor to enhance their lives and keep them engaged in their own care too. We have researchers there that share what they're researching about brain injury in athletes and everyday John Doe's, what they're doing to help improve the quality of our life. And it also helps to introduce brain injury survivors to different other people who could help them to, I can't think of the word. Aphasia is a bitch.
Angela's good with words. Angela.
Listen, it's so important to have that community, to have that support with, people going through the same thing, and it's super important for them to have those interactions and to have those conversations and to have someone truly understand, right? Just like they say, people who are addicts in recovery make the best substance abuse therapists, right? Because they're living it. So it's 100% how important that whole foundation is, how important what you just did this weekend was. Super important.
Thank you. And I'm sure you realize it more now. I'm sure you're starting to connect with cancer survivors, and
yeah,
even in the waiting room,
yes,
it's just a familiar look to each other that is so comforting, that people that aren't going through what you're going through just can't really understand.
Yeah, it's funny because Donnie and I just had that discussion today earlier before we went on live, and it's a birds of a feather flock together, and it's necessary in cases with TBI and cancers and things of that nature. Super necessary.
Yeah, one of my Kirbyisms is that I'm only as strong as the people holding me up.
That's
and
right.
Then I want to hold people up as well. It's a push-pull relationship.
I need one of those tag phrases that just like you just had.
Kirbyism?
That is beautiful.
Kirbyism.
We'll have to figure out what mine is.
Oh, I'm full of them. Angela bites, Ange bites.
Oh, I do bite. I bite. Did you say bite?
The best of us do, my friend. The best of us do.
Yeah, I'm a big biter, so.
So back to the conference. So we got her over here biting, but no, the conference is so awesome. Like Angela was saying, you guys are talking about people connect. Being around all traumatic brain injury survivors and people who dealt with that, you could just tell, the fraternity of people is so amazing. And even I met a lot of the people for the first time, and it's just people relate to people who've been through what they've been through. They connect when they know somebody's been through something similar, maybe a little different, but something similar. I feel like people just feel connected. That's why we always try to bring on people from different backgrounds, because you don't know what person's story is really going to connect with somebody. And it's all trauma, head injury, that's still a trauma. Even having cancer, that's a trauma. Losing a loved one, that's a trauma. So I feel like people who suffered traumatic traumas kind of connect too, and sometimes they overlap.
Yeah, any life-altering event, no matter, people tend to tell me, oh, you've been through so much more than I have, and I go, whoa, if you are walking in a field, you have a Chihuahua and a Great Dane, and they both poop. It doesn't matter which pile you step in; it's still shit on your
shit. Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's got the bigger pile. It's still shit you got to clean off your shoe. So, yeah, we can help each other so much better than we can alone.
How now? You've been part of. How long you been part of Mind Your Brain Foundation?
6 years. I was just sharing about this earlier. We did a Mind Your Brain podcast earlier today, and when I first was able to start talking, was 3 years after my accident. I was on the survivors panel at I guess it was only the second or third Mind Your Brain. So, and I've been lucky enough. I missed 1 year because I was having major brain surgery, but I've been lucky enough to go for the last 6 years.
It's amazing.
And as somebody who suffered such a traumatic brain injury, have you noticed what benefits have you had from being around people like Candace and all the, I even met you through this, and through all the conferences. Have you noticed just other people out there who might be going through something, just so they kind of know how it can change your life, going around other people and get educated on something you're going through? What's some of the things you noticed?
My first thing is gratitude. I mean, just how grateful when I meet a new person that I am in a position to now give hope to this new person, saying, I was once like that, and look at me here. I'm going to have 10 years out this December, and it just makes me sit back and go, damn, I really have done a lot. Like, I really am grateful. And gratitude is contagious, and I just want to share it. They have that saying in recovery, you can't keep what you have unless you give it away. And I'm so grateful that I have come as far as I have to be able to give some hope away. And just the connections I've made professionally, because I'll never be able to work again, in the normal sense of the word work. I mean, I have permanent brain damage, but that doesn't mean I can't be heard or have a purpose.
That's right.
And dealing with other brain injured people, as well as with Mind Your Brain, the new peer mentorship program we're having, and meeting you, Donnie, and you letting me be a part of Hungry for Hope. I mean, it's all a great hub of the wheel. My trauma has become the hub of all these great spokes to make my life start going round in a different way, mind you, than it did before. Sometimes it's a square wheel, but I have purpose today.
And I know I was talking to Angela before the show, and she actually had mentioned she's in some of these support groups on Facebook, right, Angela? And
yes.
With other, I'm even on some of them. They're for people who know somebody going through cancer and stuff. And have you, just through them, how have you felt, Angela? Have you learn more? You see all these people?
I mean, I am shocked by the amount of people my age and even a couple years younger. I mean, I just started messaging with a 36-year-old woman who is also a CrossFit athlete, and she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer the same month I was. And you got to wonder what's going on nowadays. I mean, people are younger and younger getting diagnosed with cancer, but and there's days where I'm not having a good day, whether that be physically, emotionally, mentally, and I will go on that support site. And they are talking about the same things, financial stuff, emotional stuff, people not truly understanding, people, understanding the seriousness of your diagnosis. And so their complaints are very similar to mine, but I also have those days where I go on there and I'm having a good day. And the reason why I go on having a good day is because there's so many people that I can give hope to and give my experience to, and, let them know they're not alone, and try this and try that. And it's just, just like, TBI, we all need our group of people, because at the end of the day, friends, family, they love you, but they're not going to understand exactly what you're experiencing.
Yeah, I think you really hit. Everybody connects. They want to, people they might know, they can read stuff, they can hear stuff, but unless you really went through something like that, unless you really lived that, it's just, they're never really going to be connecting with you on that kind of level. And I think that's so big for...
Empathy.
What, Janine?
like empathy, you know, to really experience empathy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely something, you know, like all three of us have, you know, different traumas that we all went through. And I think we all use different resources, different support groups or whatever to help us through our thing. And I think that anybody out there going through any kind of trauma or anything, I think they would definitely benefit from that. What else, Angela? Back to Angela.
Oh, you want? I know people are like itching for my scan results. So I did make a Facebook announcement, and I do have my physical test results, and I did meet with the doctor about them. So basically, what I said on Facebook is that there is no new spread. So that is the best news that we can hear. So the chemo is keeping me alive. My Dr. Rockowitz, I can't say enough about him. He set out with two goals, and the two goals are to give me more comfort, and he has done that for me. And the other goal is quality of life and reaching a goal for 2 years. There is no cure for this, and he knows the kind of person I am, so he gives it to me pretty straightforward and real. I need to be realistic about this. I can't be in denial about this. The areas that were initially affected are still affected. I am still only a candidate for IV chemo because Marge has shrunk a little bit, not as much as I probably have hoped with the chemo, but you know, she has shrunk enough to where that's why I have a better time swallowing food. So I'm grateful for that. I don't have severe chest pain that brings me down to my knees anymore. So I'm thankful for that. She is still wrapped around my pulmonary artery. She has still affected my liver, my rib cage, my lymph nodes. My aorta is still affected. But the good news is that, you know, we're going on maintenance chemo is what they're calling it now, because the carboplatin, I've done my 4 rounds of that. And for those who didn't see my Facebook post, what that means is that we are going to try this maintenance chemo. It is still chemo, still poison going into my body. So he had warned that, you know, I'm going to experience a lot more fatigue and tiredness as we continue to move forward with chemo. And, you know, we are going to have to scan after 3 to 4 rounds. Again, we're going to do another set of scans to see if this maintenance chemo is still keeping the spread at bay in the initial areas that are affected. That will just remain unchanging. So, but it's good news. You know, it's the news we wanted to hear, and that's as far as the scans go.
Okay, Ange. All right.
Yeah, it's good news. I mean, it is what it is. I'm a really realistic person. You know, people mean well. People want a cure. Sadly, there isn't one, you know. People, you know, my family, friends, they want me to live another 8 years, which is fine, you know, but at the end of the day, I'm okay with 2 years. In fact, I'm okay with waking up this morning. I'm okay with waking up tomorrow. You know, I think 2 years is a good way to look at it. And if we get past 2 years, I have a 25 to 30% chance of doing that potentially if this maintenance chemo works. So we'll see. You know, at the end of the day, you know, someone up there, there's a higher power that has the last say.
Good stuff, Angela.
Thank you for updating us. I know a lot of people are asking everything. And, you know, you just got done putting your other video up, and everybody saw that. Your chemo video. Anybody can check that out.
That to me was like, and listen, the past 2 days, I can't tell you how emotional and traumatic and super stressful it has been for me the past 2 days. It all started with Amazon. I had this whole like nun costume getting delivered to me, and I paid for the expedited shipping, and you know, next thing I know, Amazon's like, you're not going to get this in time, and I'm like, but I have to bring people a video. People are going to think something's wrong if I don't bring them a video. So I was super lucky at the last minute. A good friend came through and he gave me his priest costume, you know, so with the crucifix, and I was like, this is perfect because I had everything I needed. I had pajamas, and I bought split green soup, and the night before I dumped it all over the pajamas and I let it sit dry. I had a red wig for the chemo machine. I had everything except for my nun stuff. And so now I'm upset and I'm trying to figure out what to do. And 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock Monday evening, I get a call from the Jeff Kimmel Center saying, listen, I'm not sure what's going on with your insurance, but someone dropped the ball and there's a big chance you're not getting chemo tomorrow. And this is Monday at 4 p.m. Good luck trying to get anyone on the phone at your insurance company. So now I'm super upset. Not only do I not have my nun outfit, I'm super worried. And people don't understand, like, I have to take a chemo med the night before chemo, the morning of chemo, and the evening after getting chemo. So I've already taken the medication that I needed to do. Now I'm worried if I don't get the chemo the following day, everything gets pushed back. Everything gets pushed back. And I'm scheduled for my 4 more rounds through the end of this year. So I'm already scheduled. So I call the insurance company. The insurance company wants to blame, Jeff Kimmel Center. And I have been scheduled for my 5th round, which was yesterday, since March 8th. That's 3 weeks. So you know what? I cried a lot. I cursed a lot. And then I went to bed and I said, you know what? I am going to chemo no matter what tomorrow morning. So I went to bed. I packed my chemo bag. The next morning, I packed everything I needed. I was heading out the door because it was 9:50. Chemo's supposed to start at 10. And the Jeff Kimmel Center called me and said, we still don't have anything for you. Don't come in. And I said, I have to come in. And they said, we know that, but you're going to get stuck with a hefty bill, which I already am getting stuck with a hefty bill with or without insurance. So long story short, I had all the nurses, the doctors calling this insurance company. I called the insurance company. I'm speaking to 5 different people. I'm watching the clock tick by. At this point, I'm in tears. The chemo is what's keeping me alive. I'm already having discomfort because, like clockwork, the chemo that I had 3 weeks prior, you start getting a lot more discomfort. So I'm having pain in my collarbone. I'm having pain in my rib cage. The body is an amazing thing. It knows it needs the chemo and it knows it's due for the chemo. So now I'm having all this discomfort and I'm freaking out. I'm stressed out. Someone dropped the ball. Long story short, they've had my paperwork since March 8th. Someone dropped the ball. Finally, I have enough on my plate. I have a lot of unknowns and a lot of stress, and and finally, the last girl I talked to, I said, please, I'm asking you, I'm not asking you for a pre-authorization for a vitamin here. This is life savings. This is. It was just, it's hard to talk about because it's upsetting. And then at the end of the phone call, she finally gave me an authorization number, the medical insurance company. And then she was kind enough to remind me that, it's really up to the insurance company whether or not they determine I am going to continue with chemo. So I was super excited to hear that it's really up to medical insurance to determine whether I live or die. So good news is everything was fine. I was out an hour and 20 minutes late to chemo, but I was still able to get my chemo. But the most traumatic thing out of that is when you walk into chemo, you need to be in the best mindset. You need to be happy. You can't go in there being upset. And now my eyes are puffy because I've been crying for 48 hours and I'm super stressed. I went into chemo just in a really bad place. And I left chemo not feeling well for the first time after 5 rounds.
So this is everyday stuff you go through since you've been dealing with this since November. This is, a lot of people don't see this stuff from behind the scenes dealing with this, and the same thing with Janine going through what she went through. I know you were in and out of the hospital so many times. Janine, when you were going through your traumatic brain injury and you had your accident and you had to relearn to do everything, that's when other people who are dealing with some of this stuff, they might have some questions on how you guys have been able to overcome it, and the same with me. So that's when I ask you guys a couple questions and hear both of you just kind of speak on it and give people an idea how you went through. A lot of people, when something happens to them, I know me, the first thing I asked myself was, why did this happen to me? And that's a question I'm gonna ask both of you. But just why? Like everybody always says, like, why? I know when it happened to me, when my brother died, I'm just like, why me? When I was going through this stuff, you just at first sometimes I feel like you just think you're like this bad person who, for whatever reason, especially when something happens where you didn't choose it. You didn't choose a traumatic brain injury. You didn't choose to lose a loved one. You didn't choose to get a illness like cancer. And there's a lot of other things people get. These tragedies and traumas happen in life. And when there's no cause to why, when we can't think of like, I didn't do this. Why am I having this happen to me? I'm a good person. I've done right. Especially with you too, Janine. You had gotten sober. You were doing so good. You finally overcame that. And then I remember you saying like, you're finally a couple years sober, and then you had this accident, almost die. So, what would your answer? What would you tell people when they're asking, why did this happen to me? How have you been able to answer that question?
I went through such a dark period. Like you said, I had 3.5 years sober, and I was planning my wedding when this happened, and had just gotten a promotion at my job. I was just, living the dream, as they say. And I tell people who are newly diagnosed either with an illness or with had a traumatic accident, I had to be patient and wait, and the answer came, just not when I wanted it to, of why. Today, I know why. A couple years ago, I started to have acceptance of why, because my experience is going to be used to help other people. And, as much as I kicked my feet and didn't want to be this beacon, like who nominated me to be Supergirl? I want to hang my cape up. I used to say that all the time. Like, I'm so tired of people telling me how strong I am. I don't want to be strong. I just want to break.
Yep.
I'm sure you understand, Angela.
100%.
I have a feeling we have very similar personalities in that aspect. It's like,
very much.
Yeah, I do revel and love. That's my core, my personality. I used to be a fighter, I love. You're a CrossFit teacher. We like kicking ass and taking names.
All right, girls, I see you.
But
watch out, Donnie.
I need a break, but the reason why did come to me. It just didn't come right away. And I would tell people to just be patient, have faith, hold on to hope, hold on tight.
Now,
the why will come.
Angela, we heard Janine. Now, what would you say that why? I know you haven't had as much time. It's only been since November.
Yeah, and you know what? Since November, like, I honestly don't feel like I've truly processed this entire thing. I haven't been able to. I haven't had enough time, right? Because November, you have this horrible diagnosis, and then you have test after test, and we're waiting for the results. The results are coming in. It's even worse than the original. Now we're having a lung biopsy. We're waiting for those results, and we're waiting for PET scans, brain MRIs. You have all this. It's so much unknown, and then even to this day, I have so much unknown. Every chemo session is completely different. Now I'm worried about my next chemo session with this insurance company. Is this next 3 to 4 rounds of chemo going to work? If not, it's a whole nother decision process I need to make. And I don't think I've really truly processed, because I haven't had enough time to process all of these things I've gone through. But the one thing I have processed, I truly believe that, and we talked about this in my first podcast, right? First, I've had a lot of traumatic experiences in my life, right? So, I got pregnant. I was 3 months pregnant, and I lost that child. They made me wait almost 2 weeks to see if I will naturally abort on my own. It didn't happen. I had to get a procedure, get that corrected. Less than 2 years later, I'm diagnosed with cervical cancer. So have to get that corrected with a hysterectomy. And then less than 3 years, I'm sitting here with a whole new different cancer, a much worse outcome. And you know what? I will never take any of that back. This is a gift to me, and every day I open my eyes is a gift to me. I mean, there's some days I'm going to tell you I'm afraid to go to bed. What if I don't wake up the next morning? So you have to excuse me because I'm a little sensitive coming straight out of chemo. They did talk about mood swings, like I need any more of those already, but whatever. It's just... It's hard to process so much trauma when you're just now 39 years old.
And you've been on autopilot through all your previous traumas.
Yeah, it's fight or flight.
And autopilot.
Exactly. And the video, I went in there, and you can ask my friend Jen, who came with me and is always helping me with my videos. I went in there just exhausted, and I said, you know what? I was real close to saying, excuse my language, fuck it. If it's going to be this hard, and if it's up to an insurance company to determine whether or not I'm going to get a life-saving med, when I can OD in my condo 5 days a week and call 911 and get free Narcan in an hour without waiting for a pre-authorization. I can do that every day of the week if I wanted to. And that's okay. But, I need this. It's the only thing keeping me alive. So I was pretty angry going in there. And I was real close to saying, forget it. So no wonder why people lose hope so easily.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this on the show before. One of the biggest things when I was going through my tough times, and I was at that rock bottom, I always mention the person Susan Pastor who came to my life, and she started giving me some answers to the why. At the time I didn't know, but I just had nothing else to hold on to, so I started listening. But the big thing she said was, when I said why, she said maybe because there's somebody out there who needs to see this is a bigger than us, bigger than any of us, and there's people out there struggling, and maybe this is your destiny. Your calling is to watch Janine, this amazing woman who was able to overcome things that most people shouldn't, things that she could have quit and nobody would have thought she was wrong for it. And there's people down the road who might not have that same strength, and the only way they're going to get it is by seeing somebody like Janine. Or there's going to be somebody who's fighting cancer, and they're just going to be ready to throw the towel, and young, in shape person who did right in their life, and they're just going to ask why, and then they're going to see Angela's story, and that might be that fight they need, because it can change just seeing somebody's story, seeing somebody who, like we said, went through what they went through, and that kind of made sense to me. And you're just living for that, something bigger than yourself, even if sometimes we might be in a point where we don't want to do it for us, but you think it's something bigger, and the why will eventually come. The why will come. It might not come right away, but now look at like Janine. Your whole life is based on this injury you had. You just did the conference. People came from all over the country, and you were there with Candace, who also went through that. That's her calling now. That's her destiny. You built your life around this amazing thing where you're helping people. And now Angela doing these videos, doing all this amazing stuff. People wearing their Team Ann shirts, and it's inspiring people, and I think it's answering the question why.
You got to give yourself some credit too here. I mean, you have an amazing comeback story. Mm-hmm. When I think about everything that you've been through, and when you talk about your car accident alone, of you climbing up out of a ravine, damage, broken bones, blood, gore, all of it, that's not just literal, but figuratively your entire life, man. You've been doing nothing but climbing out of pit after pit after pit, being picked on as a child, loss of your brother, God love him, happy birthday, Jimmy. Mm-hmm. And your accident and all lost your, look at what you've done. You've made this platform for people to come out and share hope with each other.
It's
Of a
funny.
higher
You mentioned the accident. The other day we had drove by, me and my buddy Joey, we drove by where I got in the accident. It was a little out in the country. It was a bridge going over a creek. And, people know I got in my car accident when I was 17. And, I almost died. It was a big story. I had to crawl. They said 2 football fields. It took me like 2 hours. And, I basically, with my last breath, I knocked on some stranger's house on a farm up a hill. And, basically just closed my eyes and knew I did everything I could. And then, I woke up the next day in ICU at Cooper Hospital. And, I'd broken every bone just about in my face. My leg was barely on. It was hanging off. The bone was out. Broke both of them. And the guy who saved my life, it was his family. I mentioned recently, Don Pastorville. They call him Donnie. They didn't have a guardrail. The bridge was in front of his house, but his house is on like a big farm property. You got to go up a hill. They didn't have the guardrail. For whatever reason, I think somebody might have hit it before. There was no guardrail. That would have saved me a lot of time, because when I hit the bridge, I went tumbling down 10 feet into a creek that was frozen. And, it's just my luck, I guess. And maybe the guardrail would have hurt more if I took the whole, I don't know. I hit the side of the bridge. I tumbled down 10 feet into this creek. Then I had to climb out of there. Well, Dom, the guy who saved my life, he passed away just recently, and I was at his funeral. And the first thing, his wife and kids are up there next to the casket, and he had the mask on, so I didn't know they recognized me. And right away, she's like, how did you do that? How? And then after that, she's like, because of you, I had this huge, ugly guardrail on my front yard. She's like, it's enormous. I drove by yesterday and saw it. It is enormous. It's like 30 feet. She's like, it's not even on the side you hit. There's no reason to have it on that side. So if I did anything in my life, I got this goofy guardrail outside this beautiful house on the hill. It's like a great property. But it was pretty fun. I was like, that's my guardrail. I looked at it like, yeah, that's because of me. And it was just kind of funny to think that happened in 2005. And like the first thing the lady, it's still on her mind. They gave her an award for saving my life. The township gave him a proclamation. They had a day and everything. They came up and they gave him an award, and they honored the EMTs and everybody who saved my life. And I never got an award. I was the one who climbed for two hours.
Hey,
all my hands and my knees.
Your reward is me as a co-host.
Oh man.
Yeah, look at the beautiful women you're surrounded by. Right?
See,
but it's just funny. All these years later, she's just like, how? And it's just when we're going through something, even with the cancer, with this, you just have a will to survive. I don't know what it is. It's just something you're not going to give up, because there's something better. You're for something bigger, and we all have survival stories. And I just think it's pretty awesome hearing both of you speak about your why and everything that's happened in your life, because you've been, how long's it been now, Janine? Since you got
9.5 years. Yep.
And for Angela, from her cancer, it's only been since November.
Yeah.
So you're seeing two different.
Feels like forever. I'll fucking tell you that. Feels like forever. It's just but you know what? Yesterday, what really kept me pushing, because I was really close to just saying, yeah, I can't handle this anymore. Because you got to think there's so much other things also going on in my life, financial stuff, work stuff, medical stuff. I mean, you have the unknown and the stressors, stressors more out than the normal person multiplied by 5. So there's a lot of things that are going on. There's a lot of things that people don't see. I don't tell people, or they don't see me have my moments. And I went in there not in a good mindset, and the first thing I thought of was, I have to bring these people a video. They're expecting a video. And I asked the nurses, I said, please, this is what I'm gonna do. She was Karen, who's my new nurse, a super great woman. And I went in there and they were having an issue with my port, and I'm saying, here goes another thing, I'm not gonna be able to get my chemo because my port is jacked up. So after a couple 10 painful minutes, we finally got the port set up, and I just said to her, I said, listen, please don't, because I was supposed to meet with the doctor. I said, please don't have him come in as I'm dressed in a priest outfit holding a crucifix. So try to send him in after I am doing an exorcism on this chemo machine. So in the end, it turned out well. I got my chemo, and I was able to bring people kind of the jokester that they kind of see every day. But people also need to remember, and Janine, I'm sure you can understand this. What you see on social media, what you see with me every Wednesday night. I come in here, I put a smile on my face. I actually wash my hair, do my hair, put makeup on. I know this is probably the only time out of the week you'll see. You don't see me having swollen eyes and leaking fluid, because that's part of chemo. It's part of the after effects. You don't see me leaving my shopping cart in the middle of the grocery store because my feet hurt that bad, or I'm taking a shower on a shower chair at the age of 39 because my legs are so weak, or me crying in the shower because my hair is coming out in clumps. So, there's things that you guys aren't supposed to say or know about me, but just know that I'm bringing this positivity for you because there are people watching and there are people who need it, and that's what matters to me.
Now,
thank you for sharing that, Angela.
Yeah, you're also now back to both your trauma question. When people go through something, I know we mentioned how we've all found support and people who can relate to us, but a lot of times when somebody's going through something, they feel all alone. They feel nobody can understand them. They just might be asking, like, what's wrong with them? Why can't nobody understands me? They feel so alone, and that's like the worst thing that can happen when you're going through any kind of trauma, dealing with any kind of illness. So I'm going to ask you, Janine, what can you tell somebody if they're feeling all alone, if they're going through this thing and they feel like just nobody understands me, nobody, the support groups, but how about the regular people, if their family, how can they get over that? Their family may not understand what it's like to have a traumatic brain injury because they don't have one. What would you tell them?
Right. Yeah, and it's real difficult with an invisible injury because people are like, well, you look fine to me.
Yeah, you don't look sick, right? That's my favorite thing. You don't look sick, you look good. Right.
And yeah, like you said, Angela, nobody sees, this is the first time I've had hair in 10 years.
Right.
And that made it harder meeting new people. Like, why do you walk with a cane? You're not, well, you're walking fine. I'm like, I am, thank you. But every time I look down, I see tens of everything.
Yeah.
I can't walk straight and turn my head at the same time. But thanks for asking, dude. Yeah. So I would tell people to, if they're not ready to participate, just sit in on a support group and listen. You're going to, at some point, hear the way you feel come out of somebody else's mouth. You're going to hear or be able to articulate how you're feeling because someone else has experienced it. And journaling was a big thing for me too. It also helped me learn to write again because my handedness changed 3 times in the last 10 years. Like, I don't know if I'm left-handed or right-handed anymore. So whack. But that really helped a lot. Like, even when I couldn't write, I would cut out words and pictures and just make, just to have an outlet to express. And of course, I punched my heavy bag, but in general, just at least listen to other people's stories. And maybe you'll hear something that can help you articulate what's going on inside. That would be my advice.
Now, how about
doesn't feel better.
How about you, Ange?
I would be lying if I said that I don't feel alone sometimes. I think that's part of the process sometimes where, like I said, I have 7-minute moments. I let myself have those moments. Some days I have more moments than I have others. I don't have a spouse. I come home to an empty house. That, it could be lonely. I have a lot of friends, a lot of family, a lot of support groups, but then there's sometimes where, what, I'm tired of talking about it. And I'm tired of people trying to explain things to people and trying to have them understand. And sometimes I just need to be alone. It's a lonely thing because to an extent you are going at this alone, because no one's traumatic brain injury is the same, just like no one's cancer's the same.
100%, Angela. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for everyone, and they're affected differently from everyone. But there's times, that I feel alone, but I mean, don't get it wrong. I can feel alone and be thankful and grateful at the same time, if that can make any kind of sense.
It does, and you're entitled to that. You can be in grief and in gratitude at the same time. Is another Kirbyism of mine.
I love it.
And gratitude at the same time.
I love it.
I have alone too. I come home and I'm throwing up. Nobody sees me throwing up from whatever reason. It was just that.
Exactly. And I'm glad you had said grief, right? Because I'm sure Janine, you can understand what's going to come out of my mouth right now. Every day I grieve the person I used to be. Every day.
100%, absolutely. I completely get it. I do. I
Every day.
recognize my reflection in the mirror, and it's a matter of acceptance. And acceptance sucks. I understand. I do.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think having people like us and stuff share stuff, especially things, a lot of people, they know what lung cancer, stage 4 lung cancer is, but they don't really know how to act. They don't know how to talk to you about it. They might just be uncomfortable, and that might come off as, to you, you're just like angry, like they don't care, but it's not that they don't care, they just don't understand. Same thing with a traumatic brain injury or people dealing with somebody who lost. I know, like, when my brother died and you're around people, it's like the elephant in the room. People don't know what to say, what they can say. So I feel like even opening up, people hearing Angela talk and hearing you talk, I think it gives a whole new perspective for people who might have a family member going through it or somebody they love. Because the worst thing is loving somebody but just not knowing how to go about it. And obviously that person's probably in a tough, they might be in a bad state of mind, and anything can just make them think nobody's there to support them, and it just gets into that dark place in your head when you think you're fighting a fight all by yourself, and sometimes you're really not. People just don't know how to let you know that they're there. But we're gonna say, Janine, anything?
And I understand that. I do that. Other people don't understand, but I get angry because it's not my job to educate when I'm trying to keep myself going.
Yeah.
I shared that I was about to be married when my accident happened, and God love him, he's stuck with me. He did. He was an amazing for the beginning of my recovery. But as we realized going forward that I was never going to be the same again, that I was going to be a disabled woman for the rest of my life, I couldn't hold his hand through that because I was trying to cope and handle it myself. I mean, here I am. One of the last things I remember is I just want the woman I fell in love with back. It's like, well, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
If you find her, could you show her the way? Because I don't know where the F she is either. And I'm not trying to take away from the care and love that he did give me, but no, this is a long haul thing. This is life changing. Angela, I know you understand, it's life changing. Even when, and I know it will happen, you are in a comfortable place. Your body is in a place of comfort that you can go and do the things you want to do before that day comes. Your life is still different.
Yeah.
It's never going to be the same.
No.
And
and you know what, Janine? I want you to message me his address.
Now, Janine, you're talking
I will
about
set his house on fire.
This happens when we go through some stuff in life where people
I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's gonna. I have a whole list.
We have people who might be friends or loved ones or spouses, and then we hit that bump in the road, whatever it is, and we're going through them tough times, like with Angela, with like you, and sometimes these people they act different. That's just stuff we can't control. It's beyond us. We waste time doing that.
just adds on to what we're already trying to cope with.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You know what I notice sometimes? I feel like it's for the better. It's somebody bigger than us trying to nudge them out of our life, trying to tell us like, I know anybody that's gotten out of my life over the years is always for the best, and it's always made me so much better. I might not see it at the time, I might not understand it, but better things have come along. And there are people holding us back, people who have whatever off on them, and we don't need them in our life. So I feel like sometimes it's just a way to help us get them out of your life, and you remove them people and just concentrate on what you can.
Guard.
Yeah, get the snakes out.
Yeah, you know, all these things that are the prettiest flowers, they're really just weeds killing off everything else. And yeah, I find that I can keep negativity and smell a bad soul coming. So that, you're right, Donnie, that's definitely helped weed out, you know, toxic, to me, relationships.
Yeah.
Now that's some of the bad stuff, but what's some of the positive? You sit here all these years later, and you sit back and you remember the days where you were having to relearn to do everything. You were an athletic person. You boxed. You had gotten sober for 3.5 years. You're about to get married. You're just living this life like you called it a dream. And then your whole world got crushed when you had your traumatic brain injury. You had your accident. You had all them hours in the hospital and days and days and days and all these surgeries and relearning everything. What's the positive sitting back now? What's some positives? And hope you can kind of sit back and take out of the whole ordeal that you went through.
I'm proud of myself. I really am. You know, even being a fighter and Golden Gloves winner, by the way, all those years of, you know, all these accomplishments, I really wasn't proud of myself, genuinely. Today I am. You know, back then I was just, you know, wearing a mask, going with the flow, being the tough girl, you know, just on autopilot, like we had said. But today I like the woman I am. I may not recognize her in the mirror, but God damn, the girl in the mirror sure is cute, and she's a badass.
She sure is.
Get it, girl.
I second that.
And the women and the people I've met, I'm part of an amazing tribe. I mean, just an amazing tribe of survivors across not just the TBI world, but look at the three of us. This is awesome.
So now you said all these years later, but now Angela, you know, a little different. It's just been since November, and I'm sure there was a lot of emotions then, but now we're a few months past. What's some positive now? You sit here at Toxic Radio Studio on Hungry for Hope podcast. I mean, Janine, what's some positives you have been able to take?
Like I said, it has been a gift to me in a sense that, you know, God only gives its toughest soldiers the worst kind of battles to get through. So there is a reason for this. Yeah, there's a reason for this. And I have been able to unknowingly be a positive in people's life and unknowingly reach people, not just with the cancer, but the fact this is my second time with cancer, the fact that I, you know, had lost a baby at 3 months, whatever the case may be. And it, you know, and look at, I'm your co-host coming for the host spot. I mean, look at where, I mean, you know, I wouldn't be here, you know, and then it's hard too, because in the beginning stages of this, I've been out of the gym and I'm still not properly back in the gym. People may see me post things in the gym, but I can't be there every day. I'd be lucky to make it once, twice a week. And that's really difficult for me because, you know, I'm trying to keep my body in motion, but I am very weak. I'm very tired. I can't breathe. So, you know, when people are seeing me post these things, they're like, oh, she's great. She's fine. She's tough. She don't look sick. You know, they see me here, you know, but they really have no idea. But I'm just so thankful to and the awareness I'm spreading because, you know, there's people like, oh, as soon as someone hears you have lung cancer, oh, it's because, is it from smoking? Are you a smoker? That's the first thing I thought of. But, you know, and just like Janine said, you got to try to educate these people. First of all, no, this is my second time with cancer. Different kind of cancer, but I'm we're pretty sure it's from the first bout of cancer, and a spot was just missed. And, you know, I have that kind of aggressive adenocarcinoma that most non-smokers get. So, you know, people hear lung cancer and everyone has a cancer story. Just like Janine, I'm sure everyone has a TBI story. My grandmom's mom's aunts, sisters, cousins, neighbors from across the street down the road 5 years ago was given 6 months to live. She has 10 years now, but did her cancer metastasize to her aorta and her liver? And what stage is it? And you don't want to have to ask those questions, but everyone has a cancer story and they want to share it with you, not knowing that, like, but that's not my situation.
Exactly. I completely empathize with that a lot, Angela. 100%. It's like you're trying to maintain composure and yet you want to scream at the same time.
Right. And you know that old saying, there's two things that bring the worst and the best out of people: weddings and funerals. I want to add illnesses and disease to that as well.
Terminal
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Because there were some people who I really thought, you know, were kind of in my corner, and I'm learning that lesson, like who's here for the stress of it and making me worse, and who's here, you know, and there's been surprising people who are just here for me, you know, and they don't have to say anything other than, how's it going today?
Yeah, that's one of the things I was most shocked. Like, sometimes the people you least expect it.
Yes.
And I've never forgot about them people. And it's just people you wouldn't expect, and then people you do expect don't give it to you.
Say
but
nothing. Mm-hmm.
There's been them people, and I've always kept them close to my heart and during everything. But
the quality of relationships, it's
exactly.
just, it grows. I have higher quality relationships because I'm more grateful for life. So yeah, I want quality relationships today.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, Janine, being grateful for our life. That's what, you know, even when I might have a bad day, I just think today's the eighth year of my brother's anniversary. 2014, he passed away. It's been 8 years. I remember people always tell me it was going to get better. If I found them people now, I'd probably beat them up. They were lying. It doesn't get better. We just learn ways. You know, I was just waiting. I was like, oh, the year went by. You know, just when it starts getting better and not realizing it doesn't get better. Honestly, you know, it might even get worse when you really love somebody. But you learn ways to deal with it. That's what gets better. You learn how to positively do positive stuff and how to handle that trauma, how to handle that pain. And use that horrible time in your life, the death of a loved one, to push you to good stuff. Like I always say, the worst day in my life has catapulted me to the better days of my life. You can use that. Nothing ever saying you can't use that horrible day, that memory of when you got that traumatic brain injury, or when they told you had cancer, or when I lost my brother. Mm-hmm. You can use that to push you. And, you know, the one thing, my brother died backpacking the world. He had a website. You know, people were following him all over the world. He was flying one spot to another, backpacking. And it was just about, he gave up a great job, a great life, sold his car, cashed out his 401k, quit his job, everything. And he had a real successful, he had the dream, but he just wasn't happy. So he just lived like he was dying. And, every day he just traveled and not knowing if you get that next day. That was his life. One day he'd be in Iceland, the next day he'd be in Italy, and he started getting a follow from it. It's what he did, going around the world backpacking. And you know, he passed away, but he passed away doing what he loved. Mm-hmm. And that's all I could say in his memory for everybody. You know, just find whatever it is you love in life. Don't hold nothing back. Don't be scared if, you know, it's quitting that job or doing whatever. Cause his happiest days were, you know, not at that job. They're backpacking 500 miles through Spain or whatever it is he was doing. And so anybody out there going through loss of a loved one or any kind of traumatic experience, just listen. You know, we've all lived it. It gets better. There isn't a magic potion you could take, but there's people you can reach out to, like these ladies and me, and people who went through stuff like you, whatever you're going through. And it gets better. You're gonna find a reason. It might not happen tomorrow. The bad days don't last, man. All my bad days have eventually ran out of. Storm runs out.
I'm so glad you said that, because I'll tell you what, not just a gift, it has, it's been a short time, November, right? But when I tell you, it has changed me into such a better person, where I focus more on what makes me happy, what's going to make me happy. It's about time, because you're selfless for a really long time, and the things that matter to you and the things that don't, and the stress that you were stressing about really isn't the stress you should be stressing about. I'm such a better person, and I'm learning really quickly of what I need in my life and when I need it in my life.
Yeah, it's like a whole nother spiritual level.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I want to be good to my soul.
Yep. And it's about time, because, you never know, and when you have this, hey, you got 2 years, well, shit, I better get some ducks in a row, shouldn't I? And where do I want to go, and what do I want to do, and how do I want to, because at the end of the day, we all deserve to be happy.
And
absolutely,
we're coming to that time, ladies. I appreciate you coming on, Janine, Angela. Thanks for sharing that little
finally, we
update.
get to meet Janine.
And anybody listening, anybody going through anything, man, just take it from the greatest speech ever, Jimmy V. Never, never, never give up. No matter what, it's the simplest word. Just never give up. Things will get better. The storm runs out. We'll see y'all next Wednesday. Hunger for Hope Nation. We're out of here.